Ready when you are.
You ready? Okay. Good evening, everyone. This will be an open meeting, and notice has been given to the public at least 24 hours prior to the meeting by forwarding the complete agenda to the Oconto County Reporter. Copies of the complete agenda were available for inspection at the office of the administrator. 6 p.m. Public hearing with the following agenda. Petition for zoning amendment for Gaelic Enterprises LLC to amend the zoning for parcel 265-311771833 from general industrial IG to single and two-family residential family R2. All parties for and against will be heard.
We've taken that 5.3 acres and split that up into 4 parcels from the old stock lumber property. We want to take 2 parcels that are on Farnsworth and make them residential, so we could either put up a duplex or a single family home for either rental or Airbnb or whatever deems for the most necessity at the time. So just the 2 out of the 4 parcels would be zoned residential.
Okay. Do we have any other additional comments? Do we have any additional comments? And for the 3rd time, do we have any additional comments, pros or cons? Yeah. Need a motion to close? By Whitcuff. Second. Discussion. Vote.
Butch Melberg.
Aye.
Steve Stock.
Aye.
John Whitcoff.
Aye.
Riley Soul.
Aye.
Bob LeBrecq.
Aye.
Motion carried. Immediately following meeting of the regular council with the following agenda. Meeting called to order. Roll call.
Mayor Panetti.
Here.
Butch Melberg.
Here.
Steve Stock.
Here.
John Whitcoff.
Here.
Patsy Bake is excused. Riley Soul.
Here.
Bob LeBrecq.
Here.
Attorney Calvert.
Present.
Item 3, invocation and pledge of allegiance by Alderperson John Whitcuff.
Give us the wisdom to make the best choices for our citizens of the city of Oconto. Keep our citizens safe. Don't forget to thank the vets and our police force. And let's all have a great 2023. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, approval of the agenda. Steve, second. Bobby, all in favor? Aye. Item 5, approval of minutes as presented by the city council and any special council meetings. Okay, Butch, Bobby, second. All in favor? Aye. Motion passed. Item 6, do we have any correspondence? Brittany?
I do not, no.
Okay. Item number 7, public input. Public input will be allotted 5 minutes. I'll give you a notice with 30 seconds left. So do we have any public input? If you'd please stand up, state your name and address.
Eric Chanel, 3002 Windross Lane, Little Swamico. That's why I have a question. I'm speaking in regards to the liquor license. Would this be the time to talk about that? Okay, perfect. So I own the Nautical, and that's the one that's more or less, say, on the chopping block, it looks like. So the property, the bar is ready to function, open, with very little to do to it. I mean, literally a couple of days or something like this that's how ready it is. This past winter, I did sustain water damage in the property from a furnace malfunction, so there has been some time spent putting that back together. We have been open for a little while. That's as of this year, what has happened there. Towards the end of last year, the property was up for sale, but it had fallen through. But then, this year we had a problem in wintertime. So anyway, there was some damage that had to be taken care of. It is repaired, ready to go, could be opened up literally any time. Soft opening could happen literally days, but realistically, a little bit further out than everything would be, together as far as the completion. I just wanted everybody to be aware of that. There is a lot of time and investment into that property, both visible from the outside and the inside. So that should be all considered as well. As far as the running the bar, things like this, my son is also an investor and has a great deal involved with that bar and other properties in the area. This affects more than just myself, and so like that be considered as well before the license be removed or not renewed, or however you call it. But we would like it renewed and to proceed forward with opening the bar and continue forward as a business. So that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Christine Reed, address is 2372 Dorn Street in O'Connell. I'm the other liquor license on the chopping block for Frenchtown Franks. We have been working with Sammy Boucher the last month or so. We have new plans heading forward and hope to keep our liquor license also. We've also been working with the VFW for fundraisers with them, and we have more stuff in the future set and date for that. So I'd also like to be considered to get my renewal. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Carl?
My name's Carl Plaska, I live at 442 Baldwin Street. I was wondering, I've heard some stuff about it, so I come down today, about things getting pulled. Now, is this under a new ordinance or under an old ordinance of the city of O'Connell?
This is an old ordinance.
So there's been liquor licenses pulled before, they've been long periods of time.
The ordinance, correct me if I'm wrong, states that if it's not being utilized for 60 days, the license can be revoked. Now keep in mind, Carl,
I am.
if they elect to open up and they have a business plan to move forward, they can apply for an additional, or not an additional, they can apply for a liquor license.
So if they're planning on moving forward with things, life, or give a business plan, then they wouldn't be that much in jeopardy. Because there are plans that both have. And I know there are certain state laws and federal laws you gotta follow to revoke. I don't know what step y'all have taken and notifications and how to do it. Because I'm new here, 2005. And I like the city, I love O'Connell. Great people. And I'm just interested in how it works. It's all not partial, it's to everybody, and that they follow what they're supposed to follow with an open mind. That's what I'm looking mean, I came here for the memorial in Cannon. You guys are great, open-minded. I just wonder how it goes. Because like I said, they have helped us a lot to raise lots of money. Over $8,000 to put in there for everything. And we had a little Brock Fry last weekend. And they worked with the memorial and the veterans, and that's where I got my interest at, because they were trying to help. And that's why I was wondering how it was going and what they gotta do to keep the liquor license. If they're helping us, they're helping the veterans, the whole county. And other taverns right here have too. I'm just saying that's why I'm here, because they do help out. And they do try. And they do try for the city of Oconto to keep things going and keep things up. That's why I'm asking, that's why I'm here.
Okay. Any additional?
Mike, excuse me, Mike Felt, 172 Luby. First of all, I want to say that I appreciate that the council still has invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. That means a lot, not only to veterans, but to a lot of citizens. And again, I want to thank the council, everybody involved with the city here for the work they do. I've said in the past, it's kind of a thankless job. As you know, it puts a lot of easy targets on your backs, and social media certainly doesn't make that any easier with all that's going on. And I know the Public Works, hiring somebody for the superintendent's job is in the works. And I know Brittany has taken on some of that responsibility along with some of the other employees in that department, so we appreciate the extra effort there. I've spoken to several individuals within the city government, and I brought this up before about the financial situation of the city, and it's disappointing to see that there isn't anything on the agenda. There wasn't anything last month, nothing this month to address that. I know there are things, the reinstating the financial committee is in the works. I think we need to look at, or you need to look at, how to speed that process up, because I think, as I said, I've talked to several people in city government, and debt seems to be the biggest challenge for the city. Also, just being at a couple meetings and looking at some of the spending, discretionary spending, I think that would be a good place to start, to look at maybe tightening the reins on that a little bit, and maybe have a limit on what discretionary spending by departments can be. I mean, we have to start someplace, and every little bit's going to help. So I think that's something that should be considered. Also, there's room tax issue, or installing a room tax for Oconto. I understand that goes through the county, but that's another thing. We need to look at revenue streams for the city, and we're basically throwing money away with all the, we're making improvements at the breakwater, and there's additional Airbnbs and things like that we could be collecting room tax on those things. This is prime tourism season. We're losing out on that revenue, so I think that needs to be accelerated. Finally, I made a comment about social media, and you see a lot of the disgruntled comments talking about the Good Old Boys Network. And I don't exactly know who the Good Old Boys are. It just seems like that's a comment that's made when somebody's not happy with the way things are going. I've been friends with the mayor all my life. I know he's a good man. I don't believe some of the things that are being said about him are fair. I think he's shaking things up, and I think that's a good thing. But I think we, as a city, as city employees, as council members and everything, I think we need to look at doing things differently or more efficiently, or We didn't get in this situation overnight. So we need to understand what happened before to move forward so we're not making those same mistakes and try to get more financially sound in the city. Thank you.
Okay, is there any additional public input?
Jamie Younger, 518 4th Street, Oconto. I just want to go back to some things that happened last week. There was, I believe John mentioned, if we do something for one, we need to do it for all. And this goes back to the liquor license. If you're going to look at businesses that were closed, let's be honest, the yard's been closed since September of last year. So if we're going to do this for one, we're going to do it for all. That's only fair. I don't think that a mayor should ever say, we're not going to cross our T's and dot our I's. I don't think that's something a mayor should ever say. I think you were hired and you were elected to make sure that that happens in the city. Not just avoid certain people when they come to your business partners. You know, you just stated to Carl that, you know, if you have a business plan, you're not interested in pulling their license, but you were given a business plan for Frenchtown Franks last week, and you still were okay with theirs being thrown out there. He just gave you a business plan on his, so I mean, I think we just gotta be paying attention to how fair we're gonna be, and to certain people, I guess, and laugh about it, because, yeah, you know. I don't know. I guess that's pretty much all I have to say, other than I'm not really sure either why when somebody is suing the city and they put their legal address, but come here and use a false address, why that's allowed. And I'll keep bringing it up until it's done, because as you can see, they just gave their proper addresses and they were still able to talk, so there's really no reason to lie. This is really becoming a circus, this whole town. And I've seen it, and I think that it's about time that everybody's treated fairly and not just people's business partners. I think some people might be in this for the wrong reasons, and I definitely hope not.
I'm going to ask you, Jamie, when you reference business partners, can you be more specific?
Your business partners, Garrett and Courtney, and your Airbnb? Am I lying?
Let me clarify this.
Am I lying? Because
Yes.
it sounds to me like a lot of people
There has
don't.
not been one nickel, dime, penny exchanged between the souls.
Maybe not. Maybe there's not. But is your Airbnb, is he not the manager of it?
There has not been one nickel exchanged. Now let me clarify. Let me
Don't
talk.
to me like that. You're still on my 5 minutes. You can talk to anybody you want like that, but you ain't talking to me like that, ever. I elected in this city, legally. I used my address, my home address. I know where I live. Don't you ever talk to me like that.
I apologize about the tone of the voice. I'll try and clarify to get the facts across.
I don't need any more lies, John, because everybody in this town knows what's going on. Everybody. I'm just not afraid to call it out.
So you're saying that there's been money exchanged between the souls and
I don't care if there was money exchanged or not, John. You gonna tell me he isn't a manager of one of your properties? You gonna lie about that? Everybody knows this. Just move on, because you're not gonna get anywhere with me. I don't go for lies. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's lying. Because I have no need for it. I make an honest living.
Is there any additional comments? Carl?
I'm new to coming to these meetings, I like coming to them. But I just heard about different addresses used to come and speak. That's not allowed within this system, is it? You gotta use your regular address? Or because you move around, you can use any address you want? I mean, I'm just trying to understand. This is the first time me hearing about it. And the way that it gets set up. Can somebody explain to me how that happened? I'm just asking. Did that happen?
Do you want to talk about the state law?
I don't.
I'm just wondering, John, I don't want to stay stirring that stuff, but I'm interested in how things go right in O'Connell, just like everybody else is.
He's shaking things up.
You know, and I'm just asking questions to get answered from the members. And that's what I heard about there and before, about different addresses. I'm just trying to get a clear, proper understanding how everything works. I'm not against no one or anything. I'm for the memorial and everything else. If this is going to hurt the memorial because I'm speaking up, that's too bad. We got a lot of veterans involved in this. But I'm just looking for an answer. I'm part of this city. I love this city. And I like to see our government run the right way, not have politics interfere the wrong way. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. But I'm going to start getting interested and looking to find out. If I do, just ask. That's all.
I can give you the proof after the meeting.
Just move on. Okay. Anything else, Carl?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any additional public input? Dale?
Dale Thompson, 106 Robin Lane. I was at Frenchtown Franks on Saturday and can verify they were open for business. I showed my support for someone else in the city who's being treated unfairly. Today's meeting agenda was dated Friday, but it wasn't posted until Monday, and they were open on Saturday, which makes the agenda incorrect. So item 9B should not be voted on tonight. And yes, Mr. Mayor, you do need to dot your I's and cross your T's. Have you talked to Frenchtown Franks or the Nautical to see what their plans are before you try and pull their license? And I've got no issue with reclaiming license if they're not used, but there's got to be a procedure in place. A written notice has to be given to the license holders. How long will they have to comply? This needs to be spelled out in the ordinance so everybody understands it, and it has to apply to all license holders, not just those you choose. Like was mentioned, the yard's been closed for over 6 months, but yet they weren't on that list. So, Mr. Mayor, why do you continue to play favorites? I was actually on the Board of Review for 5 years. I was the chairman for 4 years. I was appointed by Mayor Dwayne Konchak, who was and still is vehemently opposed to the Good Old Boys Club. Mr. Mayor, you were warned by Attorney Calvert in a Plan Commission meeting this year that you were setting a precedent, but you did it anyway. So rather than making Riley Soul conform to the terms of his conditional use, you gave him 3 years to comply. 3 years to get gravel laid down for his parking lot because he complained about the cost. So by setting that precedent, this council now needs to extend that to anyone else in the city who asks for it. I believe the Nautical and Frenchtown Franks should be given that same 3 years to comply before you ask to take their liquor license. I would also urge any other business that's short on cash. Stand before the council and ask for a 3-year delay in getting up to ordinance. Or any citizen who receives a letter and says, hey, paint your house or pick up your garbage. Come in and ask for that 3 years. Ask for the same consideration that the Soul family has already received. Alderman Soul, when you were sworn in as a council member, you were asked to adhere to the city's code of ethics. And as a doctor of chiropractic, you also swore to uphold the code of ethics, not only in business, but in your personal life. But you continue to break state-built commercial building codes by allowing people in that barn, and they should not be there. The State Building Inspector's Office verified that the only people allowed anywhere in that barn are the owners and any contractors doing work on that barn. So that's why I notified the state. And that is why they are requiring you to get that barn up to code by August. Otherwise, you'll be fined. And it's all because you will not follow state ordinances. And it's because this council and this mayor will not enforce them. Now, how sad is that? A few months ago, I informed the council that you'd lost an opportunity to bring a $40 million manufacturing company into town. And it was because of the way that I was being treated and my neighbors were being treated. So here's an update. Since October, we've hired 45 people in the Shawano area, and we're going to hire more. So just think about all the good-paying union jobs and the tax base this city's missing out on just because the Good Old Boys Corruption Club is alive and well here in Oconto. Council members, there's an old saying, and it goes like this: the fish stinks from the head first. So every time you rubber stamp one of the mayor's agenda items, you become part of that rotten, stinky fish. Will you continue to be part of the problem? Or will you begin to stand up for what's truly right for the city? When a liquor license is available, should it go to someone who will use it less than 20 times a year, 75 times a year, or 300 plus times a year? Alderman LeBrecq, thank you for voting no last week when everybody else was rubber stamping. You know, it's good to see somebody do a little research, look at the facts, and make some good decisions.
30 seconds, Dale.
And I hope you continue on that path. The good people of the city are starting to see what certain people are all about. They've stood in front of you claiming they're going to do good for the city. But all they do is take advantage of us and ruin neighborhoods to make a living or to make money. So they don't really care about you or I, but they're going to take whatever they can from us. So citizens, please continue to show up, stand up for what's right.
Thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
Do we have any additional public input? Vicky?
Victoria Bosted, 224 3rd Street. And Venna,
Yeah, when you get, if you don't have your,
right, Venna, if I go over my 5 minutes, Venna has consented to give me her 5 minutes. Understanding, is that all right? Okay, your roll. Okay, I'm standing here tonight for quite a few reasons, but it's gonna come to a culmination toward the end as to what I'm really looking for. I had a citizen bring to me yesterday his concern in regard to the ordinance that's before you on your consent agenda to put 2 more members on the Park and Rec Committee. I understand that you were given, the reason is that we could have 2 people, one possibly a grant writer, and 2 more people on the Park and Rec to help with the work, to help with the workload, to make things better. First of all, I want to say the 5 members of this Park and Rec Board have been outstanding. Yes, they went against me in regard to the cannon. I'm not happy with that, I probably never will be, okay, because my heart is with that cannon over there, right? Yep, okay. But every time I've been to a meeting there, I've been always impressed, and I was impressed by what they did this past summer by putting together that wonderful event in spite of the fact that the rain really attacked them. I'm asking you tonight to pull this from the consent agenda because you really do not have a clear idea why Mr. Panetti wants these 2 members on his park board. It was pointed out to me about a year ago that at the Park and Rec Committee meeting, Wednesday, June 8th, 2022, that Mr. Panetti was looking for the potential sale of park property, which would be out at the city docks. Number one, I want to say, as a governing body, you should never be looking at selling very, very valuable recreational property. This property has been put aside, whether it was given to the city of Oconto or the city of Oconto actually had it for whatever reason. Usually it's donations, but it's for the particular reason of keeping it recreational. Whatever amount of money that would be sold by selling 2 of these parcels that you were looking for would never make up for the unending value to the future of the citizens of this city. And right now, it's enjoyed by so many people. Everyone I've talked to, they really can't see the idea behind this. This was just pointed out to me, but I've been talking to various people since. So, is the reason behind getting these 2 people to get someone on this Park and Rec committee that would possibly be looking into this. That would go more toward Mr. Panetti's way. Now, my thoughts on this are, is this another idea to go between with him and his business partners that was pointed out tonight? Conflict of interest here. I don't care about the money involved, conflict of interest. When for a year you have been totally supportive of Garrett and Courtney Soul, and probably Riley and your wife Anita too. Totally supportive. I have no problem with being supportive, especially new businesses. We all want new businesses. We want Oconto to grow. But you have to do everything correctly, crossing T's and dotting I's. That's why I'm bringing that up. Everything has to be, and not underboard, and not giving you or your wife more minutes to speak than the rest of the citizens of this city. That's totally incorrect. You are connected to him through Place to Be Rentals. You are the hosts of his, right, Airbnb. That's the truth. Which is a beautiful name, by the way. I'm sure you did that for your mother. However, we have business dealings going on here. The money doesn't matter. You can tell yourself that the money is the big thing. No, it isn't. It's how the people that elected you look at you about this. And speaking of that, this whole entire time that you've been in that seat, we've lost a majority of the people in this building. Valuable people, one who sat right over here, another one who sat right over here. They both worked their ASS's off here for everyone. They did what they were hired to do and more. And they're gone. And now there's another one, another valuable employee that's going to be going. I'm waiting actually for the time. I know I have a son involved here. I'm waiting for the time when he's going to tell me enough. He certainly has had a reason to in the last year. Speaking of, I bothered to look up regarding the prices out at the harbor with the non-resident and the resident passes. Are you aware that as of this time this year, you have 100, and again, my figures might not be exactly on the button. I did this quite quickly. 116 non-resident passes. At this time, this date, last year, you had 165. Not only has this harbor lost this money, and you can look at the amount of money and say, oh no, the money, it's looking really good. That isn't the idea here. If anyone has any idea about tourism, the reason you have tourism in the city is to bring people in, to use your businesses, to use all your businesses. You also want people to come in and look around and say, hey, this is a really great place to live. I want to live here. Why do you think all the homes are all filled up? Apartments, everybody's looking for a place here. It's because of what they felt was here. A lot of them are getting disillusioned because of what's been happening this past year. Very disillusioned, along with myself, along with the person who brought me this information yesterday. You have your conflict of interest going on. You have your inability to work with anybody in this building, and you can point out to me that I had problems here too. However, I came in every day, and I was here all day and all night. If I had problems with anybody here, we dealt with the situation. Maybe it didn't go the way I would have liked it, but we went right back into it to the next situation. I didn't come in at night. So your failure to even come in here and do your work and your duty during the day. Someone wanted to come in to see you. Are you here? No, you're not. Everything you're doing is wrong. The only thing that I can actually say that I appreciate is this 5 minutes. It went from 3, and I wish it would have been my idea, because that was a good one. All the rest of it, you've totally failed. You have totally failed. I'm here tonight, I'm asking you, if you care anything about this city anymore, anything about this city of Oconto, I'm asking you to resign. I'm asking you to resign. And let this council put your council president for the balance of this term, a very capable person who actually cares, who's probably been down here more than you have. I always felt at least that you loved Oconto, that you really, you were born here, for heaven's sake. Put someone in charge before there's any more damage done that nobody is going to recover from. And you can look at those minutes and be more interested in how much longer you can allow me to talk. You have to live with this. Mr.
You have 30
Cadet.
seconds, Vicki.
With Venice also?
You're at 9 minutes and 30 seconds.
Vicki, do you have more to say? I'll give you my 5 minutes. Well, thank you. I'm just going to continue maybe to stand here just to keep asking you to please resign. Please resign. Please resign. For anyone in here who is not able to speak up, but who is feeling the same way, for all those people out there who have been watching when it was called a circus, that's exactly what they're describing it to be. Is that what you want your hometown to be? Because of the price raising over there and in our campground, we're also being called a city of greed. How horrible. All that work to build the tourism here, 10 to 12 years to build it up to what it was, and it is all getting totally destroyed. Totally destroyed. And I know you're sitting back and you're thinking, I'm not doing anything wrong. The way I feel is absolutely right. But it isn't true, or people wouldn't be saying this to you in a calm manner. Versus how you like to treat someone when you raised your voice. That doesn't get things done either. And I thank you, all right? And please consider this, so that we can start to rebuild here again. That people like myself may actually want to get involved again and feel as though it will go somewhere. Thank you.
Do we have any additional public input? Garrett?
Yep. Garrett Soul, 712 McDonald Street, 522 Main Street, 222 Pecor Street, 3216 Airport Road, 720 McDonald Street. Point is, I've got a lot of addresses. I move around a lot, so I'm not sure what the big concern. All right, I have the floor.
Garrett.
So yeah, I just wanted to sort of touch on that a little bit and touch on the fact that I own a lot of businesses. I've got a short-term rental business. I've got a short-term rental management company. I've got a beer garden. I've got a lot of different businesses. I don't turn down any business, just like Steve Stock here doesn't turn down any business. He does projects. I have the floor.
I don't care.
Okay, so he does work for the city all the time. He said that he did work out at the harbor. That's not a conflict of interest. He's just a businessman working in the city. He probably does work for John. He probably does work for Bob. Daryl Anderson probably does work for all these people. Everyone's connected in this city. We live in a small town. So I just wanted to put that out there, so I'm not sure why certain people get chastised for that type of stuff and others don't. Just on the liquor license stuff, just wanted to say that I know everyone's also chastising the mayor over the liquor licenses, but he doesn't even have a vote, and he didn't actually even say anything in the last meeting. So if you want to focus your energy, you can focus it towards the people that actually have the votes, which would be the council members, and they actually make the decisions. And I was there when they made at the meeting, because I attend almost all these meetings, and I was there when they made the ordinance invoking where they could potentially remove a liquor license after 60 days of inactivity if they so chose. And they basically, it was put in place so that they could, you know, if a business wanted to come and open, that they would be able to if there wasn't other businesses holding up these liquor licenses that weren't being used. So in an effort for this community to grow, it would be more advantageous to have a business that wanted a liquor license to be able to get it and run their business than to have a business sitting vacant, not using it. That was sort of the point of that being enacted, and I was there for that meeting, and I'm not necessarily saying I agree or disagree with it, but just saying that I knew that it existed, so I made sure that I made a sale every less than 60 days, just because that's, you know, I didn't necessarily think that it was the right thing, so went ahead and did that. So, yeah.
There wasn't a sale. That's all. Nobody walked in the snow to get beer.
Okay, is there any additional public input?
Hey, I have it. Ashley Stellmacher. I don't need to give you my address because it's not right. But can I open a brothel and use that as an address? I mean, everyone else lies about everything, so is that going to be legit? You're not going to answer, are you, John? I still have like 4.5 minutes.
Do you have a business plan?
Hey, yeah, I'm gonna start one tomorrow, but what address should I use? 1210 Main Street? I mean, everyone else lies. Poor Riley doesn't have a chance in the city because his brother ruined it for him. And Riley is the nicest guy I've ever met. And his brother ruined everything for him. No one wants him on the council either. And that shouldn't be because of his brother at all. And Riley, I really like you, and you have had a shitty time because of your brother. So kudos to you for stepping up and not being like them. And also, what's your address? Is it in O'Connell? Are you sure? Okay.
Thank you. Do we have any additional public input?
I do.
Carl?
I have a question. When you come to these meetings, you're supposed to give your permanent address, am I correct? Where you dwell at, where you live at, you get your mail at. So it's your main address. When you come to these meetings, are you supposed to do that by the ordinance, by what your rules are for coming in here? Because I'm not understanding why you can have 6 businesses and you don't live there, but you can use them. I don't know these gentlemen from Adam. I do try to understand what we're doing here for the city of O'Connell. That's what I'm doing. And I love here. I bet I moved here. I'll never move away. And I was wondering, was the proper steps taken? How do the federal state laws say about removing licenses? That's all I'm asking, to get a fair deal for everyone. That's all it should be when it comes to the meetings. Everybody is equal. The council has an open mind and want to help this city. That's what I'm trying to understand, how it's all working right now, John. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Any additional public input? Do we have any additional public input? And for the third time, do we have any additional public input? Thank you. Item number 8, approval of consent agenda. Approval of accounts payable for the month of April 2023 in the amount of $354,192.81. Payroll for the month of April 2023 in the amount of $162,108.46, and other financial reports as presented. Do them all.
Yeah, the consent,
Okay.
unless somebody pulls one.
Okay, 8B, approval of mayor's recommendation for appointments and reappointments of the committees and commissions. 8C, approve of the alcohol beverage license application and appointment of agents per the list.
Pull that one. Would you like any reason why? Because we're over here on 9B, it says Frenchtown Frank's or Nautical Bar, it has nothing about the yacht club. Gary, as long as you stood up and said you're a beer garden, why don't we make it truly a beer garden and just give you a beer and wine license and take the liquor license? Is that okay with you? I didn't think so. Anyway, there's nothing about the yacht club. Now you're voting on 16 licenses, so we used to have 18. So if you're gonna go with the or, that means you're not taking one license away. So how can you approve these applications? Right?
We'll pull it and then you can have a discussion.
Okay.
8D, denial of request from Oconto County Economic Development to waive the sign permit fee of $50. 8E, approval of application for temporary Class B retailer's license for Oconto Elks Lodge 887 for girls softball tournament on July 6th through the 9th of 2023. 8F, approval of application for temporary Class B retailer's license for Oconto Elks Lodge 887 for Waterfest on July 3rd, 2023. 8G, approval of application for temporary Class B retailer's license for Oconto County Veterans Memorial Committee Corporation for Memorial Day picnic at the Copperfest Park on May 29th, 2023. 8H, approval of an ordinance regarding revisions to the Park and Recreational Committee ordinance in the Municipal Code of Ordinances for the City of Oconto. Add 2 residents for members of the Park and Rec Committee, sponsored by Mayor Panetti.
Pull that one for discussion.
Eight I, approval of reversing an ordinance regarding revisions to the public health and sanitary ordinance in the Municipal Code of Ordinances for the City of Oconto. Addition of recycling dumpsters. 8J, approval for sale of city property located at Whitetail Lane to Teresa Bake and Dave Retzloff for the cost of certified survey map, deed work, easement drafting, and other fees associated with the transfer of the property. Motion?
Motion to accept, except for H and C, is it?
Correct.
Have a motion,
I'll second it.
second, discussion, vote.
Butch Melberg.
Aye.
Steve Stock. John Wickoff. Riley Soul. Bob LaBrecque.
Aye.
We did go individually with them. So now you go back to C.
Motion passed. Okay, approval of 8C, approval of alcohol beverage license application and appointment of agents. Brittany?
So what happened, I just want to explain, what happened at the committee of the whole was the council made the motion to deny Frenchtown Frank's Nautical and Yacht Club for renewal. So right now they have a current license. You're denying them renewal on July 1st. What agenda item 9B is referring to is using section 7220 ordinance to take it away before June 30th, while this active license. There's a booze bar is looking to open for this weekend for the bicycle poker run. We can give them a provisional license to open, but there needs to be a license available for that to happen. You can't just give a provisional when there's no open licenses. So taking one away from a closed business to give to one that's opening, that is the intent of 9B. Does that make sense?
In the yacht club, what about them?
Well, they're operating though. You can't take it away while they're operating.
In order for them to operate, they would have to buy from the distributor? Do they not?
I don't know whether they do or don't. I assume they
It's
do.
a private club anyway, you can't get in there, nobody in the public can get in there. It says
Yeah.
visitors welcome, it doesn't say public welcome. So therefore, you're approving 16 licenses because Boo's wants one. As far as I'm concerned, take the yards, give him a beer license, he said he's a beer garden. So,
Shouldn't matter, booze wouldn't be able to
excuse
get
me,
legal
did you
liquor by
raise your
then
hand?
anyways.
Did you raise your hand?
You're not supposed to talk.
If you'd open the floor. I'll speak.
I'm not gonna.
If you'd open the floor,
That's
I'd
not a good idea.
all night. Because it wouldn't matter for booze, because they wouldn't be able to get liquor by then anyways, legally. But they don't currently have a license.
You don't have to.
Okay.
Bobby, you have the floor.
So, what are we gonna do here? I think that we have people sitting here, and somebody last week told me about transparency and for democracy. Well, it's about time we start being transparent about everything, not just certain things. No double standards anymore. What's fair for one, like everybody says, is fair for everybody. That's my philosophy. That's what I worked for all these years. When I came into the city council, I took an oath. It meant a lot to me. I'm surprised the people of O'Connell even voted for me the first time. But then all of a sudden, I started doing a good job. I wish that poor video was on, because you could put your arm down, because it's gonna get sore.
I know, I wish it was on too, but
I
I don't
do.
have that anymore.
So, anyway, my oath means something to me. I don't know about everybody else's, but I'm working for the city of O'Connell and not any individual. I will support every individual in the city of O'Connell, but I don't work for one individual in the city of O'Connell. I hope that goes to everybody. Thank you.
So what's your suggestion?
I suggest that, why are we voting on these applications? I mean, either or. If they have a license until the 30th, I just don't understand why.
That's voting on the renewals.
So if now you're down to 16 licenses for the following year, and then you're telling those people who already have a license to reapply. Because you know we only have 18, and we got 18 or 20 on the last sheet. This is the original sheet I had. There was 18 licenses on here, and I kept track of every one that was sold or that went to a different person. So as far as I'm concerned, if we're gonna be fair about this, we better start discussing about if you need 18 licenses, all you got, you don't start giving out 20. Period. There should never be more licensed than there, if there's 18 licenses, that's all there should be.
This consent agenda item is just for these licenses.
Which is
The
18
16 licenses that's in your packet.
Correct.
Yeah,
There's 18
that's just to vote for the
licenses, and Now
renewal.
we're voting for 16. At the back of the page, are we not?
Right, yes, the 16 on this list.
So, it just doesn't make sense to me. We're taking licenses away without really looking into things. Should some be licensed? I'm all for it. If you're down a year, and I'm sorry, but if you're down a year, you had a chance to open up. And as far as I'm concerned, because you make a sale online or something like that, that's not being open for business, for the public, which is what your license is supposed to be. So, everybody better make up their mind what
John?
they want to do here.
So this, what we're talking about is their license up until the end of July or June?
June 30th, yeah. No,
Oh.
no,
No.
no. This agenda item is for the renewals starting July 1st. So
So-
the renewals.
So what's that got to do with somebody opening up? There still ain't a license available until after that date.
But we're not talking about that agenda item right now, we're talking about the renewals. That's what the consent agenda C is talking about, the renewals, the new licenses, next year, 2023 to 24.
So they can still operate until that time.
Right. Yep, they have a valid license until June 30th.
So my question is, where's the other one coming from?
That's a different agenda item, so we
That's
can
on
talk about that
9C.
when we get to that one.
C, B,
I mean, when you've got
Yeah.
that, one of them should have their license regardless, because you're saying Frenchtown Franks or Nautical. You're not saying both, you're saying or, which means one or the other should have a license.
Or am I just reading that wrong? It says one or the other, it says or. Liquor license from Frenchtown Franks or nautical.
That's for, I think we should talk about 9B when we get to 9B. I think we should
Well, that's
focus on the
why
renewals.
It's kind of, you're approving an alcohol license for 16. I guess maybe I was just brought up wrong, but if you got 18 licenses, you should have 18 that you're approving. Because then you gotta go and prove 2 more licenses sooner or later. Maybe 3. What do you think?
Well, one of them not on here is Julie's Supper Club, correct?
Anybody else? You know, come on, guys. Anybody got anything to say?
Correct.
Julie's Supper Club is also not on this list, so there will be 17 because they didn't get us, they have to be on site for 14 days. They didn't get it to us in time, so it can't be approved until June meeting. So there will be 17, there's only 16 on this list. If that's
Licenses are precious for the
helpful.
people not to get them in. It's their business.
We got till the end of what, June?
Well, you got
June
till the
30th,
end of
yep.
June, but still.
So we had 20 last week, we took 3 off that list.
Yep, so there'll be 17.
John?
And here's 16, and you got Julie's is 17.
Was there a notice given out to the nautical and the other one?
They're in your
They're in
packets.
your packet right here.
I mean, what was the time limit? I mean, did you just give them a notice telling them that they're taking their license, or did you say you have 60 days to comply, or did you just?
We have to give them between a 3 and 10-day notice, and the notice was that you guys were going to potentially review this tonight.
So they had a 10-day notice, that's what I'm asking.
Between
They
3
know.
and 10 days is what's required under the statute.
That's what I'm asking.
And all we said was this would be reviewed tonight.
Steve?
I guess I have a couple questions for Eric and for Christie. What's your intentions to do with Frenchtown Franks? What is your plan there? I mean, Bob asked us, he said that you had a game plan, but I mean, we didn't see anything in writing or anything.
No.
You gotta understand where we're coming from here. You know, we're in a hard position here also, okay?
Yeah.
Because I've known you my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
Since you've been, you know. And you think I'm real thrilled about doing stuff like this? Not really. Am I thrilled about taking Eric's license too? No, absolutely not. I'm a businessman myself, okay? I'm a small
Steve has the
businessman
floor.
myself. And I'm not really thrilled about some of these decisions that we have to make either. But, you know, you gotta look at all aspects too. We're open for business, our community is. You know, I'd like for, you know, like if Eric says to us, you know, hey, I got that place sold, or I'm gonna open it up next week or whatever, you know, would surely make our decision a heck of a lot easier. And for you, I mean, the place, as far as I know, when I rode by it the other day, there was a big for sale sign there.
That one's
And,
off the market, and Becky Wigman is in there right now, and her lease is almost up.
okay, so see, we weren't aware of any of this stuff.
Yep, and,
You know, what do you,
I do still
what do you
have-
plan on doing with it? I knew that Becky was in there.
I
but-
still have the full, state-approved kitchen in there. TJ's plan is right now, working with Sammy, is we're gonna build, motel rooms and have a small dining and bar area.
Okay.
Like I said, we've been talking with Sammy with all the state regulations and stuff, and as of right now, it looks like everything's a go-ahead.
See, that stuff we never even knew about. Bob said they had a plan, but he never.
I do still
Right.
have,
He
The
never,
whole thing last week.
I have all my seller's permit, we have, everything is still up to date that we need.
okay.
I did order from distributors, we did have sales. I can prove any of that, I have all my stuff from Suzie Kane, I could bring in.
We'd have to look.
Eric, do you plan on opening or doing something?
Yes, we plan on opening, our intention is, actually my son, once we're up and rolling, I'm running it, but actually he will be taking over at some point in the near future.
Okay. So I guess my question is, how come we're not taking I know you're saying the yacht club license, the yacht club is a private business, why aren't we taking their license and giving that to Booze too, and then leave them alone, I guess? I don't know. It seems like, you know, we make a lot of decisions up here, you know, are they always correct and right? Maybe not, you know, but we try to do the best we can. But, I mean, that would be my recommendation, you know, as to why we don't go that route. But I think there also has to be some type of a time frame. We already put the 60 days in there, you know. I would have to say that if we put a time frame into that for those two particular businesses, that, okay, come 60 days from today, if you're not
Make a
open,
sale, I'm good.
then we're pulling your license. Would that be fair to either one of you if something like that happened?
If we have more of a notice, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, it's,
As long as I can do the same and say, oh, I made one sale, you know, until we're done. It's like he said, well, I can reapply for a license, well, when all the licenses are gone.
no, there would
I
be
can't.
one left, even if they took,
Eric
even
would
if
give
the
his
council
up
took
for now.
your two
We
licenses
could
and the
get
yacht
him
club
one back
license.
if we do the yacht.
With
club.
what we're
What is the push
renewing, there
for
would
mine
still
and
be
Eric's?
one
We're
license,
not
there would
gonna
still be
renew
one
the yacht
license
club, right?
available.
What is the push all of a sudden for mine
Well,
and
that's what's
Erickson
on
if
the
there's one
agenda.
available?
What's the push?
Yeah, that's been
Because-
like this for,
I have, just
I'd like
because
to
they
talk
haven't been
to him, but-
open, I guess. Well, it's renewal time.
yeah, it's
Right.
renewal
It's
time,
renewal
but
time.
I
it's
know.
paying his renewal,
I
it's been
talked
being
to
paid
Sammy
since it's
today
been
about
nautical,
their
why is it
business
changing now?
plan. She
That's
was
what I don't
looking
understand.
at. I don't know what the hell to handle that. Bob?
Just remember, we're opening up a can of worms here. You did by having one sale a month or one sale whatever.
I
Whether
had
you're
sales
open or not.
Saturday and I
If you
had,
go online or to make a sale, that's BS. You should be open. I don't care if it's winter or not. If you want to save your license, you plow your damn field and you open up your horse trailer.
You voted for it, seasonal business.
Whatever.
You knew it was seasonal when you voted.
Are you getting my
voted
good
for it the
side?
first time. What's that?
Are you getting my good side?
Garrett, Bob has the floor.
Well, he's constantly interrupting. I don't know if you can control it. He's a spoiled little brat.
I'll make Bob,
Now, what is it?
what's your suggestion?
Here's a suggestion I have for you. That you bypass this agenda item tonight on renewals.
On the what?
On the renewals, you bypass this agenda item tonight on renewals. You can still do renewals in June. They become effective on July 1st. Okay? That still leaves you in a difficult position because on 9B, you have a business that is looking to open and you don't have an available liquor license, tavern license at this point. Eric, do you realistically think that you can be open between now and July 1?
I think so. Yeah.
I was hoping you were going to say you didn't. The only reason I asked that, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, was in the idea of trying to get Booze to Bar, which wants to open a license, that's where they're searching for a license. Whereas if you didn't need it between now and July 1, you could sacrifice your license to there, but we're potentially going to come up where we could give you back one to start by July 1 was my thought.
Because we'll be taking the yacht club.
Because we're taking we
Right.
can ask, we're not renewing the yacht club.
Okay, so I have a question for you.
So that's this, like 45 days here.
Is the yacht club, you know, they're going to come back and say,
Yacht Club can apply through the state for a biennial tavern license. So they can get their license through the state. So they
Because they're
don't
a
need one
club.
through the city.
I see, but isn't that $10,000?
No, it's just a totally different license for a private yacht club that the state provides. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, just it's a potential suggestion if you didn't need it until July 1.
Right, but once I give it up, there's no guarantee that you're giving it back.
There's no guarantee either way. They don't have to renew it either way.
makes it questionable for me to go through entire effort to get it ready to open in the fashion that it should be if you're not giving me a license to do it. So it's kind of racing to the finish line and for nothing. That doesn't really make sense.
But again, my suggestion to the council, you could bypass this item till June because they don't take effect until July 1, but then you have to figure out where you're going on a later agenda
What we're
item.
dealing with right now, so.
Well, the yacht club should be easy. It's a private club. It's never asked anybody, the public, to ever be there. It says, the sign says visitors, which probably means friends. They have 3 spots, a campground that they use. I don't see them inviting anybody to the campground. I don't see anybody. In fact, last time I walked on their property, I was on the plan commission, and the guy came out of the club and told me I was trespassing. And I'm like, well, I vote to see if you want your 3 camping sites. But that was the welcome I got. The guy told me I was trespassing on the yacht club. And all I wanted to do was check their facilities for the 3 campsites. So, you don't serve publicly, and if they can get a license from the state, we can hold on to this forever, but if this is what you... Somehow we have to make a move, because we're giving out license like they're water. As far as I'm concerned, when you got 18, you don't give out 19. So, or 20. And you, actually, you don't have Julie's Cafe on here yet, do you?
No.
Because they didn't. So bypassing this until June for that is okay, but if Booze needs a license, you're gonna have to act somewhere along the line here.
Butch?
I like Bob's idea, take the yards away, giving them just a beer license, because they are a beer garden.
That's what he told right up and said it.
I don't see it really affecting their business at all. I mean,
Majority of our sales is liquor and like carbless, high noon, White Claw, things like that is a majority of our sales. So it would affect us significantly.
So what do you do, bypass this?
Like I said, you can bypass the renewal at this point. If you want to deal with the renewals in June, but you're still gonna have to deal with Agenda 9.
Well, it's time to crap and get off the pot here. We gotta do something. We can sit here all night and science.
I got a question. How can we ask them to surrender their license when they already paid for them?
They didn't.
You want to take them away this year, if they paid for this year?
Oh, so I apologize. We keep skipping agenda items. I don't know the answer to that.
I think there's a provision for prorating it. If I'm not
Was that, I couldn't hear
mistaken.
you, I'm sorry.
That there may be a provision for prorating it. You're talking at this point of 1 month.
Pardon?
You're talking 1 month.
Yeah, but I mean, they paid for their license up until the end of June.
1 month.
This last year, yeah. But you're asking them to give them up already.
I think what would happen would be.
You're not asking them to give them up.
Well, I mean, that's what we're trying to tell them, we're taking them.
Additional comments?
You're solely on C, which is the renewals.
I make a motion that we bypass it. Well, if we do, we still can't give the license that we need to, right?
That's
Can we
back
go-
in 9,
Can we go there?
not until we get to 9.
I understand that, that's what I'm asking. Okay, then I make a motion that we approve the alcoholic beverage application and appointment of the agents.
Approve it or bypass it?
Huh?
Bypass it?
Bypass it
Okay.
for next month, right?
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion? Vote?
Butch Melberg.
Aye.
Steve Stock.
Aye.
John Wickoff. Riley Soul.
I abstain.
Bob LeBrecq.
Aye.
No, H.
H.
8H, approval of an ordinance regarding revisions to the Park and Rec Committee ordinance in the Municipal Code of Ordinances for the City of Oconto. Add 2 resident members to the Park and Rec Committee, sponsored by Mayor Panetti.
Well, I don't understand why we need 2 extra people. I understand you want someone that can write grants, but at the same time, John has been writing our grants for years, and we've done it with 5 people. I mean, not only this, but if this is one committee you want to do this to, what's to stop us from doing it to more committees until we saturate our committees? Why this particular committee? I mean, there's so many committees. And then, as far as I'm concerned, if you really want to have someone write grants, if I'm not mistaken, on Monday, we were at the Police and Fire Commission, and the fire department sent 2 people to NWTC for 2 days of grant writing. So, we can do that. You can do that on any committee. You can do that if you need anybody that wants to help the city of Oconto.
When, Bob, you were here when the committee chairperson, Sue Anderson, asked if when I asked her if she needed more help, and she said yes. You were there at the promotion for the city park. I mean, those gals busted their tail, and they could have used more help. So, how do you get more help? The motion is to add 2 more people to that
You get help
committee.
by asking for volunteers. There was 5 people out there, and they had a great time, the kids, even in the rain. You don't go and put more people on a committee because you think you need more help for putting on a part, or...
The request came from the chairperson.
Why don't you ask the rest of the people on the...
I asked the chairperson.
But that's not a good reason, because you want, we didn't have enough help to hold an event. All you gotta do is ask for more volunteers, and there was volunteers that went out there.
Is there any additional comments, Steve?
If I'm reading this right, so you're saying Sue Anderson requested to add 2 more people to this committee, so you had to put your name on it because that's what we have to do when we create new ordinances. We have to put the mayor's name or our names on it, because I tried to get that switched around, remember, and nobody agreed with me on it. So therefore, when you create an ordinance or rewrite one or redo it, it has to be presented by either the mayor or a council member, not the committee.
Well, I would think the committee...
So that's what I think what you're trying to say, Mayor, is she recommended to you that she wanted this? Is that what you were saying?
She agreed with it, yes.
Oh, she agreed with it. She didn't.
When you asked her, yes, she agreed. But I would think that before you would make this up, you would bring it to the committee, and the committee would be the ones to determine whether we needed 2 extra members or not. That's what the committee's there for. And if they needed 2 extra, then my name would have went on it. But when you asked Sue Anderson, that was at the committee of the whole. It wasn't like the committee said we needed more help.
Riley?
I don't see anywhere in the code where it says the committees can set the number of people on the committee. I do see where it says the mayor can, from time to time, upon confirmation by the common council, appoint special committee or committees as he may seem advisable, stating the number of members and the object to perform such duties is to be assigned to them. So I don't see anywhere where it says the committee gets to pick how many people are on the committee, but if anyone has the ability to do that, it would be the mayor. Now, council can deny that, or council cannot agree with it and deny the people that he wants to put on the committees.
I understand
But the
that.
mayor is the person who forms the committees and says how many are on it and picks who's on it.
I understand that too.
Steve?
So, you wanna add 2 residents to this committee or whatever, but them residents who you recommend have to come forward to council, correct?
Correct.
So, at that point, if we don't agree with the recommendations, we can deny that recommendations, right? So, I mean, if you feel like there's I guess if there's a conflict of interest, or if we feel something's going on there, at that point, you could make that decision, Bob? I'm asking you what.
It isn't whether there's something to go on here. It's, if this committee is the first one, what's the next committee? And the next committee? It's hard enough to get people on these committees because of some people on social media. There's some people that are actually afraid to come to some of these meetings when they tell you, oh, I was gonna call in sick because they didn't have to want to go to this meeting tonight. That's a terrible thing, because these people give their time and they do it for nothing.
Right.
And when we've come to this point because of some people, a couple of people, primary, that's pretty sad.
I need a motion to either accept this or deny.
I make a motion to deny it.
Okay, we have a motion to deny.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
Hold on.
Only one motion
Hold
at a
on.
time.
I have a motion. Do I have a second to the motion? Do I have a second to the motion?
I'll make a second to deny it too. I just don't think it's necessary.
Okay. We have a motion, we have a second. Discussion? Riley?
I think the least we could do is at least see who you recommend before we shoot it down. I mean, if that's something that you and the chair of that board both agree is something that you'd be willing to entertain the idea, I don't see what is the harm in it. I'd like to see who the picks are, and I think we can make a vote on whether or not we want those people at that time. I don't think restricting the powers of the mayor doesn't have a lot of powers, but restricting those is not, I don't think, a good idea.
I don't have a recommendation for either spot right now. The intent was to find somebody that could write grants for one spot. The other one was to help the committee with the legwork when they, I mean, you have how many parks, and you don't have enough people. You have some of these people that cover 2 parks at their reports. So I'm open for suggestions from the public. That's the intent. And I wasn't going to go out and fill or ask people to be on the committee without it being expanded.
How many people are on that committee right now? 5? That's what I thought.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any more discussion? Okay, vote.
Butch Malberg,
Abstain.
Steve Stock,
Aye.
John Wickoff,
No.
Riley Soul,
No.
Bob LeBrecq,
I,
What is it?
Ty.
2-2.
2-2. Well, obviously, I'm going to vote for it. Okay, the motion's denied. Can I get a motion
I'll make a motion to accept.
to accept? Can I get a second?
Except what?
To accept the approval of the expanding it? Well, state your motion, Riley.
Make a motion to accept adding 2 residence members to the Park and Rec Committee.
I'll second.
I have a motion, I have a second. Discussion?
I
John?
just don't see what's the big deal? I mean, 2 more people, 2 more minds, 2 more thinkers, I think it's a good thing. What can you go wrong?
Can I ask a question since I'm on Park and Rec?
That's my opinion.
Okay. Is there any more discussion? Okay, I have a motion and a second. Vote.
Butch Melberg,
Nay.
Steve Stock,
No.
John Wickoff,
Aye.
Riley Soul,
Aye.
Bob LeBrecq.
No.
Okay.
Motion failed. Well, let's move on. Okay, item 9, discussion action recommendation for the following. Ordinance regarding revisions to the public health and sanitation ordinance in the municipal code of ordinances for the city of Oconto. Enclosures around refuge containers sponsored by Alderman John Whitcup.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
The second of the motion. Discussion. Vote.
Butch Melberg,
Aye.
Steve Stock,
Aye.
John Wickoff,
Aye.
Riley Soul,
Aye.
Bob LeBrecq.
Aye.
Motion carried. 9B. Okay, 9B. Revocation of Class B liquor license from Frenchtown Franks or Nautical Bar via Section 7-2-20 of the Municipal Code of Ordinances. Cessation of operation for use at Booze 2. Do I have a motion?
We add on to that, add the yard to that?
We didn't give him a
We
notice.
didn't give them a notice.
Okay.
This was, quite honestly, the 2 letters came out kind of on the direction and the discussion that took place last Tuesday.
Well, can we bypass that until next week or next, June 2?
You could, but he is trying to open for the bicycle poker run, and you're taking away his business, which is a shame.
I understand that, but at the same time, if you're gonna do a license, did you notify a yacht club?
No.
No, we didn't.
Because we're not pulling it.
Huh?
We didn't have that direction from last Tuesday, so they weren't given a
Well, there's
notice.
4 people on there that signed it. You should have got a hold of one of them. Isn't there 4 people that were on their application from Pier and whatever?
Am I wrong that a club should have a license? They should be operating under a license. We can't pull it if they're operating using it. Next year, they can get a state license. That's why we can pull the yacht club. But if they're using it right now, we can't pull it from them.
So what are we talking about then? What, if you can't pull, so are they gonna have a license for the 23-24?
It depends what you vote. But right now, what it's as agenda item 8C said that you said no, you're not going to give them one. But that's the renewals. That's the new licenses. This is referring to the license that they hold right now.
So we basically backed ourselves to the corner. That's what we gotta say we did.
Well, we gave the one from Booze to Julie so that they could
Julie's.
open, and it did take one away from
They
there.
brought their own licenses, that's their fault. Not mine or not anybody here. They could have kept that license, couldn't they?
No.
No, we
They
took it away
couldn't.
from Gary's
Well-
Corner Tap. He
Oh,
was on a
that's
probational
because
license and he
It
had
was in
some
his name
issues.
and not the owner's name, okay. So, when you back yourself in the corner, you better make sure you find a way out. And right now, we're in the corner.
Yeah, I agree.
John?
Is there any way we can give Booze a temporary license for the month or something? And then next month when their license and stuff comes up due, we talk about it then?
What about a beer wine?
Just a beer license.
Temporary.
Good.
Yeah.
Beer only.
That way you're not putting them two on the spot.
And then we pull the yacht clubs.
You definitely could.
To me, that'd make more sense than asking them to give up something that you already paid for, even though it's a month. And you can give that Boo a temporary, if he wants to open up, give him a temporary for a month or whatever. And the license come due, you have to apply again, just like the rest of them.
He's on the list that you have there. He's one of them on the
Yeah,
list.
he's on
The one of the 16 there listed.
Right.
That'd be my suggestion.
I don't think can even do that.
The what?
What are you talking about? Give them a temporary?
It's not temporary, it would just be a beer wine for a tavern.
Just give them the beer license.
Yeah. Still.
You also have Copperfest coming up.
Yeah. Well, I need a motion either to accept this or deny this.
I guess I'll make a motion to deny that and give Boo his temporary.
That would have to be on the
I
agenda.
think they should be able to keep their license they paid for.
Can they do that? Give them a temporary?
A provisional license.
It's called a provisional license.
And I can issue
And
that
it's
without
issued
it
by
being on the
city
agenda.
administrator.
So John, state your motion again.
I'll deny the request for 9B. That they should be able to keep their license until they're due.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Discussion. Vote.
Butch Melberg,
Aye.
Steve Stock,
Aye.
John Wickoff,
Aye.
Riley Soul,
Abstain.
Bob LeBrecq.
Aye.
Motion passed. 9C, approval of petition for zoning amendment from Gaelic Enterprises LLC to amend the zoning for parcel 265-311-19177-1833 from general industrial IG to single and two-family residential R2.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, a second.
Second.
Discussion. Vote.
Butch Melberg,
Aye.
Steve Stock,
Aye.
John Wickoff,
Aye.
Riley Soul,
Aye.
Bob LeBrecq.
Aye.
Recommendation from Board of Public Works. Approval of invoice from Wisconsin Department of Transportation for Arbutus Ave project in the amount of $16,945.89. Approval of street closure request from...
One at a time.
Oh,
One at a time. So with D.
okay.
I'll make a motion to approve that invoice.
Second, discussion. Vote.
Butch Melberg.
Aye.
Steve Stock.
Aye.
John Wickoff.
Aye.
Riley Soul. Bob LeBrecq.
9E, approval of street closure request from Cody Steffenhagen for O'Connell Bicycle Poker Run on May 20th, 2023.
I'll make a motion, but I got a question then too.
Second.
Bob, second.
My question is, when you read, it involves them all, I guess, then all of them had to pay for a $5 fee, but Copperfest didn't. Why is that?
Copperfest paid. It's marked on there, is it not?
No, there's the one down there that didn't, it was crossed out.
They all have to pay.
As long as they all paid, that's fine.
Yeah, the Copper Fest one was crossed out, but.
Yeah.
They all pay the same.
Okay.
All right. That was my question.
Is your motion? You want to restate your
You
motion?
accept it? For, yeah, bicycle poker run on Arbutus Ave.
Okay, second by Bob. Discussion. Vote.
Butch Melberg.
Aye.
Steve Stock.
Aye.
John Wickoff.
Aye.
Riley Soul. Bob LeBrecq.
9F, approval of street closure request from Ocano Area Chamber of Commerce for Main Street Trick and Treat on October 28th, 2023.
I'll make that motion.
Butch, second by Steve. Discussion. Vote.
Butch Melberg.
Aye.
Steve Stock.
Aye.
John Wickoff.
Aye.
Riley Soul. Bob LeBrecq.
9G, approval of street closure request from Ocano Area Chamber of Commerce for Harvest Fest on September 23rd, 2023.
Motion to accept.
Second,
Second.
discussion. Vote.
Butch Melberg.
Aye.
Steve Stock.
Aye.
John Wickoff.
Aye.
Riley Soul.
Aye.
Bob LeBrecq.
9H, approval of street closure request from Gary Zahn for Copperfest event and parade on June 9th to the 11th, 2023.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion. Vote.
Butch Melberg.
Aye.
Steve Stock.
Aye.
John Wickoff.
Aye.
Riley Soul.
Aye.
Bob LeBrecq.
Recommendation from Ocano Utility Commission, approval of pay request from Robert E. Lee and Associates for the amount of $23,676.58 for the WWTP improvements. Motion. Butch.
Second.
Second. Discussion. Vote.
Butch Melberg.
Aye.
Steve Stock.
Aye.
John Wickoff.
Aye.
Riley Soul.
Aye.
Bob LeBrecq.
Approval of pay request for Crane Engineering, the amount of $23,572 for sludge pump. Motion.
I'll make that motion.
Butch.
Second.
Steve. Discussion. Vote.
Butch Melberg.
Aye.
Steve Stock.
Aye.
John Wickoff.
Aye.
Riley Soul. Bob LeBrecq.
Number 10, council may vote at approximately 7:30 to convene into closed session pursuant to the notice duly given and is allowed by Wisconsin Statute 19.851C for the consideration of employment of the following items. Hiring of chosen candidate for Superintendent of Public Works. Motion, second by Whitcuff. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed.